I don't think there's another touring show out there that offers what we do. And there's really honestly not very many artists who could pull it off anyway, because how many, artists are out there where, you know their music for decades and you know their films for decades, and, they're actually putting both of it together for the first time. I guess Madonna could do something like that if she wanted to, because she's done so many films, but, she really makes her music about her music and her films about her films. But like I said, it's very rare that somebody would combine the two into one production, and I think that's what makes it unique. And then again, the other thing that makes it absolutely unique is the Angels themselves, because really it's a fantastically, dynamically talented group of women who range from 20 to 30 years old, and each one of them is like multi-talented, a multi-instrumentalist, vocalist, producing, writing, all of it, the whole package. So, for example, my lead angel is on the tour is the musical director, and her name is Margot Lane, and she is a professor of music. She teaches music at music school, and she also plays keyboards, does the programming, plays guitar, plays violin, sings. I mean, multi-talented. Then you have somebody like my wife who, never really thought she would be a rock star, she took ballet, she took piano, these things as a kid, like most do, but never really followed up on any of it, and her only ambition was to be a DJ. And so we started booking her DJ gigs, but then along the way, these other talents started creeping out, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, you can do that? I didn't know you could. Oh, okay, cool. So we've managed to now like kind of bring her in, and she's in many ways my musical partner on the tour. I mean, we sing songs together and have our little moments and our little bits, and she DJs and she plays piano and she sings, and it's really inspiring what she's achieved in the few years that I've known her. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum, which is we have like a couple girls who are like 20 and 21 years old. And, you think, oh my God, what's a 20-year-old girl going to bring to the table at a rock concert? And let me tell you, the lead guitarist can keep up with the best of them.
Wow.
I mean, literally, this girl shreds. And the drummer, same thing. She hits like she's a 40-year-old man. So people, I think, were really very blown away when they walked through the doors. The experience of like, what is this going to be? Is it a comedy show? Is it I'm talking about the ones who don't know, not my hardcore fans, but the ones who just have never seen a show, or they don't know what to expect, and they really don't know. And a lot of them think, even, based on all the rumors and everything from the Today Show, they think, oh yeah, they're probably just lip syncing and not even playing instruments and da-da-da-da-da. So when you walk in the door and you see this amazing group of talented people, you can't help but be blown away.
Now, was that a part of the initial concept of the Angels, having, pooling these talented girls that you could kind of bring things out of them that maybe they didn't even know they had themselves, or is that something that took shape and evolved as it went along?
Okay, well, in all fairness, when I first launched the company, Corey's Angels as an entity, we did it very much like under the radar, because I didn't really want people to know what it was. So we kind of came up with this master plan, which in a funny way developed exactly as I planned it, but it took a lot longer because of the obstruction. So what happened was I kind of, started throwing these parties, which were very closely at the time connected to the Playboy parties, because I spent a lot of time going to Playboy Mansion and was very good friends with Hef. And I saw the way that he did things, and it was always very classy and very safe and good for the girls, because they got the exposure around, big businessmen that were going to help them, from production people to directors to record people, whatever it is, they would like be these heavy hitters that would come to these parties. And so we kind of started throwing parties that were emulating that idea, but in a much more exclusive way, because what happened was they started, doing these parties where they were no longer Hef's parties. It was no longer Hef doing his party. It was a production entity that would come in and rent the party, and they would throw it, and next thing you know, they're selling tickets, and there's like hundreds of guys in there, and they're treating the women like crap, and they're very disrespectful, and just the whole thing started being not what it was. So at that point I said, I want to create kind of an offshoot, if you will, of that in the event side of things, as a way to introduce Corey's Angels to the world. And that's all it was ever meant to be. But, all these kind of, we'll call them the dark side of the underbelly of the media, came along and tried to, paint this other picture like it was a whole other thing, and saying that, this was my new career, was throwing parties, and how pathetic, and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, you guys don't even know. You don't even know. But actually, thank you very much, because you've just given me worldwide publicity on a company that normally would take, 5 to 10 years for a company to grow to the point where anybody even knows what you're talking about or knows the name, right? And my whole concept was, look, I've helped make girls famous my whole life. It's been something I've always done. So, like, every girl that I've ever dated or been associated with, if they were in the entertainment business or aspiring to be in the entertainment business, has become a household name. So from my first wife, who had never done anything in the entertainment business and today is an Emmy Award winner, to girls that I've dated like Paris Hilton and Drew Barrymore, and I always try to be influential in a positive way in the people's lives that I share for whatever length of time. So after like my second wife, where, I got her in Playboy, she was in television shows and movies, and now she was famous everywhere, and it was like, okay, obviously I do this, I help these girls out, and the next thing you know, we break up and I don't have anything left over except for a broken heart. So it's very emotionally painful, because I am a giver and I just give and give and give, and then when you all of a sudden don't see anything in return, it's a bit disheartening. So I thought, I'm really good at this, and I really do believe that, most beautiful women are misjudged and mistreated and are not given a fair opportunity, almost like racism, almost like, fat shaming. It's like the same thing, but it's the opposite, because they're beautiful, and everybody assumes because they're beautiful, they're dumb, they're talentless. Oh, she's got big boobs, yeah, she must have a brain. What do boobs and brain have to do with each other? I have no idea, but unfortunately, this is many people's concept. So we had to take that idea and reinvent it. And that was the true purpose of the company. The true purpose of the company was to help aid and abet these girls who have given up on themselves, have lost their will to dream because they've been shot down so many times, even at young ages, but they've been sold a bill of goods, which is that, unless you're willing to be sexy and you're willing to sell yourself as that, you will not achieve anything. And my goal was to say, look, you're a beautiful woman, you should know your worth, know that your beauty is going to gain you, not take away from you, if you know how to handle it and how to play your cards right. So at the end of the day, we became kind of like a surrogate family in a way for these girls, giving them, in some cases a place to live, in some cases the family that they never had. There's such a wide range of girls that we've worked with through the years, but the point being that we created the company really just almost like a charity to help these girls have the artistic freedom to mature into the artist they wanted to be, and to have the promotion and publicity behind them to achieve it. Because we all know that, there's a million artists out there, but how many do you actually hear of? How many become famous? And that is the hardest part, is to achieve that. Well, I know that all I have to do is walk onto a red carpet with a girl and she's got her name in the papers, right?
Yeah.
So if I start walking on the carpet with 3 or 4 girls, then all of their names get on the papers.
Yeah.
So it's not real hard math to figure out that this is an obvious entry point for them. So that was kind of the concept, okay? So again, we created that format, and then we started throwing these parties secretly, all with the idea of this is going to become a multifaceted empire, so to speak, whereas it's got 5 different divisions and they all fall under one umbrella. So as a business model, Corey's Angels is something that's never existed before, because we are a 360 management, development, and production entity that has its own production company and its own record label with its own distribution.
Completely in-house.
Completely in-house. We do everything from choreography to art. I mean, we have angels that literally did artwork in the album. We have, angels that are journalists, that are, actresses, that are creative people. I mean, it's spread, designers. We have great designers. We have, and even the designers, even our costume person who makes our wings and halo is a beautiful and talented young woman who also sings and songwrites and all these other things. So it's amazing. I mean, it really is. Once you start getting
pretty
into
incredible.
It's phenomenal, and I think we're helping change a lot of lives. And the other thing is that the Corey's Angels project is, it's a very charitable, even though it's not like a 501 or what are they called?
501c3.
Yeah, 501c3. It's not that, but it is a giving environment, and that's kind of the point. We make it like a family, and all of the girls that work with us are part of our family, and we really love them, and we give them that love and that support that a family should give. Okay, so there's that element to it, but at the same time, the greatest thing is that we find girls that actually have the human spirit, that are not just artists, but they actually care, and they're good-hearted people. And with that, we then turn around and we do other charity projects. So like one of the things we've done with the girls is go down to, say, like Children's Hospital and do a performance for, the sick kids, and go and visit kids in their rooms, and, even donate blood during the holiday season. Another thing we've done is, take a bunch of the angels down to downtown LA and pack our cars with food and clothes and medical supplies and hand it out to the homeless and things like that. So we like doing those types of projects. And the biggest one that we've ever done, which is the most exciting thing, even more exciting than the tour right now, is this telethon we're doing. So we are, Corey's Angels as an entity is making history this week by creating and producing the world's first ever interactive, fully live Facebook telethon. So we are going to do a Facebook Live telethon for autism, and the beneficiary of all of this is a organization called Act Today, and they are an autism kind of help center where, they provide care and relief and the tools that are needed to help raise an autistic child. Many people don't know this, but the average cost of raising an autistic child is $3.5 million.
That's incredible.
Per person. That's what the fight is against. And ironically, obviously, because autistic people are so vastly misunderstood, they are also the target of bullying, which is shocking to me that anybody would actually want to bully somebody that's less fortunate. And yet, the way I see things, autistic people are actually more fortunate because they have a whole other understanding of the world. They have a whole other perception of things, and they don't see the darkness that we see. They live in a world of love and light, and it's very different. Their darkness is only created by their separation from understanding, because unfortunately, people who don't understand something are afraid of it, and therefore they act out in anger, they lash out from their own fear, but they lash out. And unfortunately, autistic people as a whole have been the center of, a lot of bullying. So as I can relate with that, as the beautiful angels can relate with that, we then become a shelter in a way for them, because we do understand them and we're here to help and to protect them. So Courtney has actually gone and done some nutritional classes with autistic folks down at one particular autism center that works specifically with autistic people in the arts and like to be creative. So that's one thing that we do. And then there's the Act Today program, which again is more about facilitating and providing, special equipment, special medical, necessities and tools and things like that. So the event on Wednesday is going to be 4 hours long. We've called in favors from like Oh my God, so many of my friends. So Courtney and I are hosting it. We're gonna have some rare live performances, acoustic performances from the Angel Band.
Wow.
On top of it, I mean, if I told you this list of celebrities involved, it's crazy. I mean, Sean Astin, of course, from Goonies, Keith Coogan from my very first film, which was Fox and the Hound, will be there. Jameson Newlander from The Lost Boys. So, you know, you've got all my kind of co-stars and friends, even Angie Everhart from Bordello of Blood. So a lot of my co-stars will be there, but on top of it, we've got some great musical guests. We have a live performance from Brooke Adams. We have a live performance kicking off the show from Donnie Most from Happy Days. Donnie Most from Happy Days will be performing an acoustic big band number with his big band group that apparently he released an album, and he's been going around the country touring and doing this as a musician as well. And exciting announcement that we just landed today. Don Dawkin will be performing on the telethon.
Wow.
Doing a live acoustic performance, which is very exciting.
That's exceptionally cool.
And then we've got people like, you know, Fred Durst, Dave Navarro. I mean, God, the list is really pretty staggering.
You get your fingers in a lot of pies, you really do. I think it's really noble, and it's also obviously resonating with people. I mean, your videos are going viral, your singles are hitting the Billboard charts, you're selling out concerts all over the place. It's really incredible the way that you're able to just keep pushing forward, breaking new ground, and people respond.
Thank you. You know what the best part is? It's not some major label that's, you know, pushing everything. It's not some major, you know, studio that's behind it. We don't have $100 million of advertising money. This is true ground up guerrilla warfare, organic from the ground up. I mean, you know, we're talking like I get an idea one day, it comes from nothing, and we mature it into something or whatever it is. So, you know, the fact that we've been able to get the kind of media attention that we've gotten, the fact that we got, you know, the opportunity to just perform on the Today Show, let alone get the highest amounts of views ever in the history of, you know, the viral video in their world, in the Today Show world. I mean, that's huge. We had the most viewed performance of the year, and then I think it turned into like ever, because they'd never had a viral thing like that. But I mean, we had 100 million views in 24 hours.
That's incredible.
Mind-blowing. But the funny thing is, I feel like it should have been this way all along. It's not like my music suddenly got good, you know, it's just that people finally started listening. Because the problem is that, you know, when you're an actor, much like the prejudice against these girls or autistic people or whatever, but when you're an actor, people prejudge you and they think, oh, this is what you are. You're never going to be more than this.
Yeah.
And they put you in this box and they say you can't get out of it. So if I told you all the times record companies turned me down and said, I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Not good. And really it wasn't because they didn't hear it. It was because they didn't get it, because in their minds...
Well, it's coming from Corey Feldman,
yeah,
sure.
How could he possibly be a rock star?
Sure.
But the funny thing is I was singing before I was acting, so the whole thing is backwards. But anyway, the point being that, you know, we've managed to do something on a major scale, on a major level, and we're just the little guys. And it's a beautiful, inspirational story for people who don't know how to follow their dreams, who give up on their dreams. Let me tell you something, and this is the most important thing anybody can ever tell you. Life is about being happy. If you are not happy in your life, then you're doing something wrong. If you're forced into a job, a marriage, anything that does not give you joy or pleasure, and you continue in that, then you are the one who's wrong. Because let me tell you, we all have the power to change our lives for the better every single day. Every day we wake up and we're alive, there is a chance and there is hope for a better future. And that is what I came to realize when I was very young. You know, I said, you know, I could go around being miserable and unhappy because everybody's picking on me and calling me names and they're writing these awful things about me in the press. Or I can choose not to focus on the negative, keep my connection with God, which is where I find my spirituality and my peace, and through that focus only on the positive things and believing in this future. Whether anybody else believes it or not, everybody can tell me I'm wrong, everybody can tell me it won't happen, but I believe, period. And guess what? Eventually, after, well, you know, an overnight success after 30 years, but eventually it caught on. So.
Well, for 30 years, you've been dreaming a little dream and making each every one of them come true, and it's very impressive. It really is. So one more thing before I let you go. Goonies sequel, gonna happen?
I wouldn't count on it. And yes, by the way, I owe my entire life and career to Phil Shapiro. Just thought I'd mention that.
Well,
Greatest manager since the Colonel. And Frank DeLeo. He's, you know, right up there with Frank DeLeo and the Colonel.
well, I hope it does happen because a lot of us grew up with such iconic movies from the 80s.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the possibility of a Goonies sequel.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Probably not so much.